Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Pod Talks with myself, Ritu, and Yulia. So, guys, today, just for clarity, it's mid November, and this means that we've got 6 or 7 weeks left till the end of the year. And I know you guys hate hearing that because it just makes it feel all the more realer. But I've already seen people put Christmas trees up. The radio has been playing Christmas songs. You go into the supermarket, everything is all about Christmas. But we're not going to talk about Christmas per se today. We're actually going to talk about this time of year where we would start to say it kind of comes into like a seasonal weight gain thing, basically. You kind of get to this time of year and you think, well, what's the point starting now? Because I'm about to have all this fun. January is round the corner. I'll just start then. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this period and why January probably isn't a good time to wait or to start your fitness journey. Hey, Julia.
Hey, darling, how are you?
Good, good.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I literally was thinking it rings a bell. That story rings a jingle bell. Hey, I was thinking long about that. Yeah, but it rings a bell for so many people coming towards the end of November, start of December. There is so many festivities and
Mm.
events that will involve all the amazing food that probably those, at least that were on the weight loss journey, were avoiding and minimizing. And it's not only about let's start from January, but let's put a stop button until January, because I already start hearing those whispers from clients like, what's the point of pushing it now when we're already entering that season that is anyway a write-off? And I totally agree with you. It's a best recipe for a disaster because there is 6 weeks and it's a lot of time, and we can prevent a lot of damage or we can do a lot of damage. And what's your approach with your weight loss clients? Um, are you keeping them still on toes and until the last moments, or are you kind of relaxing them, obviously in a reasonable manner? Or what's your approach? I want to hear what's your
So
stand.
the approach would be very individualized because I have a lot of clients that are of South Asian background. So they've actually just come off the back of Diwali, right? There's
Mhm.
been those celebrations in the calendar only a couple of weeks ago. So if anything, November is it's the time to kind of dig deep and put the work in, right? Because then when December comes, we'll start to change our approach and we'll look at more um, tactics, if you like. And so, where mostly, and most of my clients have almost been like, because that's the thing, when you are tracking calories as well, um, it is a method that you have to get used to working through. You have to kind of get used to the foods that work well for you, the foods that you enjoy, get used to tracking, understanding that. And then obviously you start to become slightly more advanced and we start thinking more specifically about macros, etc. But I think the next step, which I think is quite an easy step to manage, would probably be working more on the calorie banking, because I think that is a very useful tool to kind of use, almost to kind of create a bit of damage control, allow some flexibility so that perhaps you're either working, and again, this will differ for each individual client, you're either still working within a deficit, moderate deficit, and then increasing the calories on one or two of the days a week. Ideally, one day would be preferential, or you're working more on a maintenance level. And with that maintenance level, you're bringing the calories just slightly lower on some days to allow a larger surplus on again, 1 or 2 days to accommodate for things like, your Christmas meals, work, your social events, any parties that start arising as we kind of head in towards December, because you don't want to take the fun factor out of the season, but you also, I won't use those words, but I think you will. You
Go
go and
on.
tell me the button,
Uh-huh.
the fuck
Okay,
it
shall I say it
button.
out loud? I use
Yes, you can
swear
say it
words.
out
Is it
loud.
fine? Because my clients are used to it.
Yeah.
This is my passion coming out of me, on my dirty mouth. I don't know, one or the other. Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of calorie banking, and most of my clients prefer it doing this way rather than being quite steady and even throughout all 7 days in a week. And it works for some. Like I said, it's obviously very individual matter, but most people like spending weekends a little bit more relaxed, and they find they're more organized, disciplined, and busier. Their brain is not wandering and not looking for, pleasures and um, treats. So it's easier to calorie bank. And it's becoming harder though, because as much as it is possible with weekends when you spend time with friends and family, people are getting more and more into business dinners and certain do's and drinks. And it's not just client meetings, but it's proper outings, booking all sorts of venues and really going heavy from what I hear. I used to work in the office, it was ages ago. And I think I don't remember that it was that way. But it all can be controlled. Like I say, damage control is the answer. Like, I think the biggest problem with festive seasons is food, less alcohol, although it is also involved. But food is everywhere. It's not even special events. You see it, mince pies on the tables in the offices, and all sorts of treats. So I again, I'm a fan of creating some sort of schedule. And, if you don't manage, write down things, if you don't have data, you don't manage it. So it is very easy in a nowadays society to always say yes to things, to quick pleasures, to quick gratification. So giving yourself at least one day when you're not gonna say yes to anything, even if it's there and it's tempting you, it gives you a great sense of empowerment in those periods. Um, so, but at the same time, because there's so many temptations nowadays, like going towards the festivities, it's becoming more and more difficult. I do like telling my clients, asking my clients what they prefer, and they still want to kind of stay in this lower region of calories, like 3 days out of 7, but getting more relaxed more days than they probably used to in the previous months. Did you notice any trends like that with your clients, or are they disciplined
I think
still?
it's no, I think there's actually it can go two ways. I think there's a lot of fear still around it.
Mm.
I think again it's sort of undoing the mindset of, good and bad foods as well, and them almost thinking that if they've had things that are more treaty or a bit more nicer and more palatable, that's wrong, even though they have adhered to their overall calorie targets, and they've been hitting towards their protein goals. At least they've been hitting the lower end of that range for them, that they still have this guilt around it. And again, I think every year, and it's the same thing last year as well, and you try and give people something back and go, no, we are going to work into a less of a deficit, and we are going to creep further into a maintenance period, and we are going to utilize these extra calories for some gains, like sort of reframing things. But again, there's still a lot of fear around it. They think I'm the coach and I'm going to tell them we've got to stay, or they think that they're going to undo something. So although they know that there might be, I'll educate them and I'll say this is why, they still have that fear factor as to say, oh, I need to make sure that I'm not too hard, that I'm still in that deficit. And the thing is, it's my job to make sure that you're still enjoying Christmas and all the other things going on, but it is not this, it is not this sort of scale, if you like, that on one aspect you're in a heavy restriction and that's the way to do it, and on the other aspect we talked about it, the fuck it button. I can't believe I'm again your words, we talked
I
about this
think I'm,
before.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's contagious.
It is, yeah, no, I love it, it's brilliant. But that's on the flip side. So I think it's, again, just understanding that this period you can enjoy mindfully. There are tips and tricks and tactics to work through alcohol, for example, as well. There are ways to manage meals out. And it doesn't always have to result in pure tracking, but there are different approaches that we can take, mindful eating being one, or, maybe even thinking about how you would structure a day in the lead up to an event, or maybe what you would do in the day before or after, and just sort of navigating that as well. And I think there's also a strong point really to be made about having balance.
Yeah, do you know what? I believe it's a lot of the seasonal weight gain is down to lack of knowledge and education. So I'm trying to educate my women that 1 day, 2 days of indulgence and even exceeding those calories and even not sticking to a weekly deficit, or at least maintenance, because I always look weekly, not daily. It doesn't need to be a disaster. We need to remember that for 1 gram of carbs, we hold 3 to 4 grams of water. So after one night or evening or even day of indulging and eating things kind of not frequently present in the diets otherwise, even if you step back at the following morning on the scale and it shows, the numbers show higher, it is not a fat gain. We need to remember again science behind it. We need to eat over 7,000 calories to gain 1 kilo of fat. So I don't think anyone can do that. I mean, maybe there is people
The
that can do
Rock.
that. Let's not generalize, but it is extremely hard to
Yeah.
consume 7,000 calories. I mean, just as an example, a pizza, what would be around
But to be fair,
15,000,
Yulia,
50,000, yeah?
if you did do that, you would likely end up pooping it all. Couldn't even
Yeah,
hold
that
on
as
to it all.
well.
So a
I
lot
mean,
of the time it is water, as you've said.
but exactly, if you're not extremely, obese, you're not used to eating those calories, so it's literally impossible. So whatever shows on scale the following day shouldn't be taken as, an oracle that this is the fat. Now I'm going to starve myself. That creates this toxic relationship with food, and needs to stop for sure. But at the same time, because of that lack of knowledge and misunderstandings with the scale and literally giving, like letting the scale mess up with your brain, many people will continue that fuck it button, pressing it over and over and not going back to the routine, just thinking that, you know what, there's more events to come. What's the point if I've already gained a kilo? I may as well
Or I'll
let it all
start
go.
later.
Exactly. And this is where the weight gain starts. And this is when the seasonal weight gain starts. Won't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And actually, just by doing nothing and hitting that button and just going, you
That
know,
button.
yeah, that button and just going for it and just going, whatever, it doesn't matter right now. What I do right now, it's not going to matter. I'll just go hard in January. I'll just start in January. That's when I'll just, really go for it, and I'll do extra sessions, and everything's busy right now. I can't find time to work out. I can't find time to manage my eating and all of those things. But what do we know as a result? Well, the research does show that people end up putting on more weight. So they could end up again, this time of year, on average, I think it's, an extra few pounds. And then if you start looking at that over a couple of years, that number inflates. And then when you start looking at 10, 20 years,
It becomes a habit
that
every
number
November, right?
becomes 5 to 10 kilos, or every single time you start to think about, um, times that are busy, because there will always be busy periods throughout life, throughout the calendar as well. And what you don't want to do, and for women and our age category in their 30s and in their 40s, you don't want to be in this position where you're holding back on making these changes now, these lifestyle changes, these habit changes, and then you have to deal with them once you retire, because you should not really be focusing in your older age on the weight loss then. You should be managing things now. This life is for living. It's not for, I will put it off and do it later.
Yeah, I always think that prevention over intervention. And, there's so many things that can be done to avoid that extreme, because we know when you were talking about the inevitable results for January, I was thinking overcrowded gyms. We don't want that. Let's make a habit of going to the gyms on a regular basis. But yeah, jokes aside, it becomes a habit every November, every December, and as you said, is followed by those yearly weight gains, because it's not that easy then to go from 100 of indulgence to a saint of an athlete, and working out extremely. Like, if you couldn't push yourself and find that discipline and your why to do it for 20 minutes, let's say 3 times a week during the festive season, trust me, it's not going to be easier in January. And there's always some excuse, some event, some period, because soon it's going to be in the UK, there's going to be school holiday, so people will be going away. Then will be something else. Then Easter, then whatever else, and then summer is again. So if we divide year into those festivities and rely on them with our journey, it's just ridiculous. And from my experience working with clients, but also me and myself, when you start in, so to say, harder circumstances, you learn this resilience, so that when things get easier, you're going to just be sailing through.
Yeah, exactly. You've almost built up the muscles, the mind muscles, to deal with that situation. Yeah, as opposed to, again, I think resilience, and life, there are times where things get sticky and they get difficult, but as humans, it's in our nature to always pick the easier option, or to delay things as well. But yeah, I think it's really important that we think about how we manage things. And you and I are here to speak on that, really, and to say that you can create balance during this period. And it's not about going hard and you can't lose the weight right now, so you may as well just not bother at all. Well, actually, there's a great benefit to working through maintenance and working
prevention
through,
again, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think the maintenance period itself is actually quite a hard thing to do. People think that the weight loss is hard. Well, actually, you've got a goal and a target, but once you've achieved that goal and you're just maintaining, you're in very different waters. And again, what are we motivated and driven by? We're driven by results, and quite often when it's maintenance, you don't see special results. You maintain, and so you don't know. You don't try as hard. You don't do the same things that you were doing before. So again, there's value in being coached through those methods as well.
Yeah, and funnily enough, I've recently heard that in the UK we're not fighting the weight loss is not a problem, maintenance is.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
Yeah,
no, I've not.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I misheard. Yeah, but so I totally agree with this, because people go all or nothing, and then as you said, the goal has been reached, and where to bounce back to, like, why am I maintaining? So it's important to have those diet breaks when you go into maintenance, or at least, yeah, diet break to me equals maintenance calories. It's not a fuck it button. Once again, I'm going to use that phrase. I just love it. Um, so that you at least learn to enjoy the fruits of work, but at the same time not to be heartbroken that you may be either not being that lean as you used to be, like in the top months or weeks, or that you're not seeing the progress. We always aim at, like, once we at least embark on the journey and be serious and we commit, we want to be winning all the time. But I was recently even talking about it. We sometimes need to take a step back to move forward, and that step back is not a setback. It's absolutely necessary for the mental break. Like, I work with professional women, and being in a constant calorie deficit and not only having that pressure on you, but sometimes going for too long into deficit causes the brain fog and just inability to work and focus, and you need it. But at the same time, then balance. There is not either or. Like, we have the middle ground, and people really forget about it because, like you said, we are definitely gonna be enjoying that period. I'm definitely gonna be eating mince pies and doing
I'll,
naughty things.
I'll let you in on a secret. I've had mince pies the last 2 days.
Already?
Yeah, already. And
Okay.
I've actually had
Okay, do you eat them
few
hot
mince
or
pies.
cold?
Pardon?
Do you eat them hot or cold? Do you
To
heat them
be
up?
fair, during Christmas, it will be
Mm.
hot because then it will be, I'll have cream with it or something.
Mm.
But for the time being, I've had to have them cold because I've just been on the go. I've been busy and it's, let me just quickly grab one. So that's what's been going
Wanted to
on.
make sure which team you are. I actually would either way.
Eat them
Didn't
either
have one
way.
yet.
Mince pie's a mince pie, but I think also you reminded me because it's been a while since I've had mince pies, however many months. That I was like, I'd forgotten that you could eat them warm. So it's been last year now,
You're
sort of,
welcome.
December. So
Wait for
uh,
colder months.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. The colder months will definitely bring that in as well. But yes, definitely. Do you feel like there's anything else that we need to kind of touch on when it comes to
Maybe one more thing, it
yeah,
was on my mind. I forgot, it came back to me. What you do now towards festive season and towards Christmas, New Year will also depend on how long you've been dieting, what
yeah,
your goals have been, what you've achieved so far. So if you've just started, give yourself a best shot and continue and build the best calorie bank or the best physique that you can before you start relaxing. But if you've been dieting for a long time and you've been frustrated or progress has stalled, it's probably time to take a little step back. But again, not all or nothing, going to some sort of balance. And getting a coach, if people struggle, is it's the best thing that you can do for this season, particularly before January.
for sure. And that might be again one of the things that people will focus on is, Christmas presents and I've got to spend more at Christmas. But give the gift of health, hey, give the gift of health to
Love it.
self or ask for those things as well. I think it's important that we treat ourselves kindly and we do things that are good for us and that will help and benefit us in the long term as well. um yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Good wrap
yeah,
up.
definitely. For sure, exactly. So thank you so much for listening to Yulia and I. This has been Pod Talks tonight, and we will be back again soon, discussing again, maybe even closer towards Christmas next time, when we really be kind of talking about tips and tricks and things that we might offer, ways that we might offer some help for you to sort of navigate through that specific period. But yeah, again, if you can find either of us via Instagram, so I'm at Richu Bra and Yulia
Kobryn with K.
Kobryn, exactly. And we'll leave those names at the end here in the description box. But thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
us,
Lucia.
and we'll see you here next time.